Hi friends, today we are going to discuss deception or bluff category of games. This is one of my personal favorite category because it is so much fun to play with our best circle of friends. Welcome to my channel and I am Seju. Guys, so this is my collection of games in deception category. Murder in Hong Kong, Sheriff of Nottingham, One Night Werewolf, Two Rooms and a Boom, Avalon and Coup. All games are more fun compared to each other. But today's game is Coup. Coup. In the near future, there will be a government controlled by multinational CEOs. And as you can imagine, that government will bring anarchy. And during this tough time, all the powerful officials are trying to take out the influence of others by bribing, manipulating, and even bluffing. But by the end of this anarchy, only one ruler will survive. That's the theme of this game, Coup. So all the game component comes in this small cute box. This is a 13 plus age limit game with 2 to 6 players. And it has only less than 15 minutes playing time. So let's unbox it. Let's see all the player components. First of all, we have a bank with a lot of coins. Then we have a character deck. And in this game, we have 5 characters. And each character has like 3 cards. So total we have 15 character cards. Finally, a player summary card. The player summary card has an overall picture on like how to play this game. So each player will get one player summary card. Now let's start the game. In our example, we have 4 players playing this game and each player will get one player summary card. Next thing, we should shuffle the character pile and give 2 cards to each player. And place the remaining pile in the middle of the table. And finally, each player will get 2 coins. Each player will put the character's card they got face down. At any point in game, each player will only have 2 character cards. And the purpose of the player is to protect the influence of that character they got. And the objective of the game is to survive, not losing influence of their character cards. For example, if this player loses the influence of this card or this character, he has to put the card face up. And the same player loses the influence on the second card, he will put the second card face up and he will be out of the game. And whoever survives without losing an influence on at least one card will be the winner. Let's see how to play this game. The game will go turn by turn clockwise, and with every turn each player must do an action. There are 3 general actions available or 5 character actions. And with every action, any other player can do a challenge or counteract. If an action has both challenge and counteract, the challenge should be resolved first. I'll get soon on what is challenge, what is counteract, and what is action. So, what is action, challenge, counteraction, all this, right? Let's start with action. As mentioned before, we have 3 general action. The player don't need a character card to do any of these 3 general action. Or he can perform a character action. Let's take an example. This player wants to perform income and the effect is take 1 coin. So he can say that I'm doing an action income and take 1 coin from the bank. Or he can claim that he has a duke character and do the tax action. The effect is take 3 coins from the bank. He can say that he is a duke and take 3 coins from the bank. He can be saying the truth or it's a total lie. Let's go to challenge. Take the previous example. Player A claimed that he has duke card and performed action tax. That means he can take 3 coins from the bank. At the same time, any of the opposite player can challenge that action, saying that player A is bluffing. Let's say player D challenged player A saying that he don't have the duke card. In that case, player A has to prove that he has the duke card. In this example, let's say player A was actually bluffing. Then he will lose one influence card that is face down. Then it is his choice to open one of the card that's face down, right? And let's say he opened the second card, he loses the influence of this particular character. Also, whatever he got from that previous action, which was a bluff, will be rolled back. That means these 3 coins will go back to the bank. Another example, same thing happens. Player D challenges that player A don't have duke card, and he actually has duke card, he was not lying. Then he will show the duke card character to everyone, and he'll put it in the pile, shuffle it, and take a replacement card. He can also keep that 3 coin with him. In this case, player D who challenged player A will actually lose an influence. And again, if he has 2 cards face down, then it's his choice to open one of the cards to lose that character influence. Let's say when player D is challenging player A, he only has 1 face down card. That means he lost the influence on the other card in previous turns, and he lost the challenge on this turn. Then he will be out of the game by losing his influence on his last card. So finally, counteraction. Many characters have counteraction. I'm taking an example here, Duke. Duke can block 4 in air. Let's say player D is going for a 4 in air. That means he can take 2 coins from the bank. Then player A is counteracting, saying that he has Duke and blocking the 4 in air. In which case, player D has to put the 2 coin back, or player D has to challenge him. Even the other opposite players can challenge player A, saying that he is bluffing or he don't have the duke card, which will go for the same consequence which I explained before. Let's say player A was bluffing, then he will lose one of his influence. Or if let's say player A was correct and he was not bluffing, then whoever challenged will lose the influence on one of their card. One of the important action in general action is coup. I'll show you an example. Player A has 7 coins. He can put this coin back to the bank and choose another player, in which case he chooses player B. Then player B will lose an influence. So he has to put 1 card face up and lose an influence on that card. This may be the last rule. Let's say on a player turn he has 10 or more coins with him. He has to do a coup. That means he has to put 7 coins back to the bank and choose another player to lose their influence. I will explain all the characters, his action, effect and counteraction. Starting with Duke, his action is tax. That means he can take 3 coins from the bank. His counteraction is blocks 4 in air. Next is assassin. Action is assassinate. Pay 3 coins, choose a player to lose the influence. Ambassador. Action is exchange. Basically exchange the card with the court deck. Court deck is the center deck. His counteraction is block stealing. Captain's action is steal. He can basically take 2 coins from another player. He can also block stealing. That's his counteraction. Finally, countersup. He don't have an action, no effect, but he can block assassination. So the game progresses with lot of action, challenges and counteraction. There are 3 ways you can lose an influence. Losing a challenge, then coup, and finally assassinate. And people will lose influence as and when the game progresses, but finally one player will remain with at least 1 character card without losing influence, and he will be the winner. So guys, this is the game. It's a very simple game, though it has a lot of rules. And you can easily introduce this game to any crowd and can finish the game in 10 to 15 minutes. You should definitely try this at home. And if you like my video, please click the like and subscribe button, and we will see you in my next video.